Yo ho, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Yinzer on Hockey. Before we begin, make sure you go down below, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, make sure you click that little bell to stay up to date on all the off-season happenings. We cover all 31 NHL teams here, so if you're a hockey fan like I am, stay tuned. I got some content for you. So on today's episode, we're going to finish up our series on upcoming free agents, and we are going to cover who I believe is the top 5 available free agent goaltenders that could hit the open market after July 1st. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Number 1 on my list is Carter Hutton. Carter Hutton, 32 years old. Last year's salary, $1.1 million. Played a lot of games for St. Louis this year and was actually very good this season with a .931 save percentage and 3 shutouts. So career numbers, 138 games played, and has a career .915 save percentage with 11 shutouts and a 2.42 goals against average. So pretty solid career, mostly in a backup role for Carter Hutton. He's a guy that I could see possibly stepping into a number 1 role in like a bridge gap scenario where you have your goaltender of the future coming through the minor league systems, coming up through the AHL. He's a guy maybe that Philadelphia would look at as a potential starter for this season if they don't like their goaltending situation. The Islanders are probably going to be looking to upgrade their goaltending position, so he's a guy that maybe you could look at going there. And if he's going to be touted as a number 1 goaltender, and I believe that he is, at least for the next 2 to 3 years, he's going to be probably a starter quality goaltender. He's probably going to be looking in the, I don't know, $3.5–4.5 million range. Maybe not that top tier $6 or $7 million that a lot of goaltenders are getting, but you could definitely see him in that $3.5–4.5 million range, and I think he'd be a great signing for anybody that needs an impact goaltender to step in and start right away for them. Number 2 on my list is Yaroslav Halak. He's played the last few years with the New York Islanders, 449 games played, 2.5 goals against average and a .916 save percentage, 42 career shutouts. He's been a pretty steady goaltender over his career. Never quite that elite level goalie, but always a very good, serviceable goaltender. At his age, 33 years old, recent salary was $4.5 million. That's probably not likely anymore. You'd look him more as a number 2 guy, probably a guy that you have your starter in place, but you don't want your starter playing, maybe more than 50–55 games. So you need a guy that's going to get you 25 to 30 solid starts, and I think Yaroslav Halak can get you that. So I would look for him in the $1.5, maybe $2 million range as a number 2 goaltender. Few teams immediately come to mind. I know Tampa, there was complaints from Andrei Vasilevsky at the end of the year about the fatigue and the overexertion that he had playing in 60 games. So, a lot of teams like to have their starter in the 55 game range. So if you can kind of lighten that load and you have a reliable backup, you're going to pay a little bit more for a guy like that. So $1.5 to $2.5 million is probably a respectable asking price for a guy like Yaroslav Halak to come in and play anywhere from 25 to 30 games. Number 3 on my list is Kari Lehtinen. He's been with Dallas for about the past 10 years. 649 games played, 2.71 goals against average, and a .912 save percentage. 38 career shutouts. This was kind of the first year for him where he wasn't the starter for them, although he did come in and play quite a few games while Ben Bishop was injured. I could look for Dallas to maybe offer for him to come back at a much more reduced salary. He's currently at $5.9 million. That's definitely going to come down quite a bit at 34 years old. He's a guy that you're looking again in that $2 to $3 million range to be your number 2 guy to come in and start 25 to 30 games for you. And I like his fit in Dallas. You could see him possibly, if Colorado doesn't work out the details with Jonathan Bernier, for him to get re-signed. You could see a guy like Kari Lehtinen go into a team like that and competing for a backup role there. Number 4 on my list is Cam Ward. Cam Ward is quite an interesting guy on this list here because he spent his entire career with Carolina, won a Stanley Cup there with them in 2006. So you expect him to want to still be a starter at 34 years old, though I think he is probably willing to accept a backup role as long as it's a prominent backup role where he's going to get his 25 to 35 games. Maybe you have a young goaltender who is not quite fully developed into that starting role. A team like Pittsburgh comes to mind with a Matt Murray, or Tampa Bay with Andrei Vasilevsky, guys with teams with young starting goaltenders who you would like to ease more into that starting role. A guy like Cam Ward would fit great, especially in a mentoring role with his experience, his knowledge, would be helpful for young goaltenders like that. Buffalo is going to be pretty much all in on the goaltender market now that they don't have, I don't think, any starting goaltender under contract right now with Chad Johnson on the free agent market as well. Which brings me to my number 5, and that is Chad Johnson of the Buffalo Sabres. 31-year-old goaltender, $2.5 million. Started 36 games for Buffalo in kind of that split role with him and Robin Lehner this year. And I think he's a guy at 31. He spent a lot of his career in the AHL, bouncing back and forth between AHL and NHL teams, spot starting duties early in his career. He didn't really come to his own until a few years ago in Buffalo, where he started 45 games for them, 2015-16. Career stats, 173 games played, 2.65 goals against average, and a .910 save percentage. All respectable numbers, especially in a Buffalo system where they have not had a very great defense in front of them. So I look for Chad Johnson to re-sign, probably again in that $2.5 million range that he's currently at. I would like to see him re-sign with Buffalo. I would like for Buffalo to give him a chance to really be the guy there, but you could also see him moving on, getting offers to be a prominent number 2 goaltender who's going to get, again, in that 25 to 30 start range, which is kind of what you want from your backup goaltender. So those are my thoughts on the free agent goaltenders. It's a much better crop of goaltenders than I had anticipated covering when I first started looking into this. I didn't expect there to be very many good goaltenders on the free agent market, but this is a very good class of free agent goaltenders if you're looking to solidify your backup role. All these guys are very quality guys to bring in as backups. I think Carter Hutton is a starting goaltender for a team that's maybe just a goaltender away from being competitive. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is there any other goaltenders you think that are worth considering or mentioning? I did touch on Jonathan Bernier, but it looks like he is going to stay in Colorado. What teams do you think are actively seeking a goaltender, either in a backup role or possibly a stopgap role for them? And what do you think of these guys and how much they're worth moving forward? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. Follow me on all the social media listed in the description below, and we will see you next time.